For years, I thrived in the high-pressure business world, but the workaholic life finally caught up with me. I was 35, very overweight, in chronic pain with severe mobility issues, terrible diet, no exercise. My health was a complete wreck. Then I went to a gentle yoga class and felt truly relaxed. The stress just melted away. I went from a size 18 to a size 8. I stopped getting sick. Pain disappeared. I learned to open my heart and I felt happy for the first time in years. So I said goodbye to the business world and started teaching. Yoga doesn't have to be strenuous. The easiest movements can trigger major release of chronic symptoms no matter your age.
Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems.
Hi, I'm Deborah Devine, and that was my story. Gentle yoga relieved me of some pretty serious health challenges, and now that I'm better, it keeps me active and in good shape as I age. And that's why you see more and more older athletes turning to yoga to help stay limber. This is very true when it comes to joggers and long-distance runners. So today, we're doing yoga for runners. And I'm very excited to welcome running yoga expert Christine Felstead as our special guest instructor to teach us some of her favorite poses. If you're not a runner, don't worry. This simple practice will have great benefits for everyone. Let's start the healing. Joining me today, Rhonda. Hi, Rhonda. And Jackie. Hi, Jackie. Both Rhonda and Jackie have been lifelong runners and have been doing yoga for a long time. Let's start with a wonderful warm-up, constructive rest rocking. We come down onto our back, knees bent, using the upper body to help us come down, saving our low back. Let's take the knees out about hip-width apart. Now, take the shoulder blades down the back one at a time, lengthen the back of the neck and the head, and rest. Next time an out-breath comes along, take the knees to one side and the head in the opposite direction. Then we come back to center on the inhalation. Exhaling, knees in the opposite direction and moving the head to the other side as well. And then coming back to center. This is a wonderful massage on the sacrum, the sacred bone at the bottom of the spine that fits into the pelvis just so. And all of the muscles for runners that attach the sacrum to the pelvis and the pelvis to the leg, they get really tight. So this wonderful ironing out of all those tissues is really helping things loosen up. Let's take the feet in toward the midline, heel toe. Then right foot comes up and over, resting on the left knee. This is a pigeon pose variation. Now, draw the right sit bone down, point it toward the grounded foot. Engage dorsiflexion with the foot, heel strong, toes spread wide apart. And then let's begin to rock back and forth again in time with the breath. Feet moving in one direction and the head moving in the opposite direction. This is a wonderful way to get deep into the glutes, the muscles underneath the glutes as well, especially the piriformis. And it's also stretching out the muscles that connect the pelvis to the ribs. Now let's come back to center and go on to the opposite side. Now please carry on. And when we come back from the break, we'll have more healing yoga for runners. Moving in opposite directions with the legs and the head.
Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems. For more yoga, go to visiontv.ca/healing-yoga. Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems.
Hi, my name is Jackie Silverberg. I'm 65 years old. I'm a retired high school teacher, and I'm a runner. So early on in my serious running career, I heard about running programs for runners, yoga for runners, and I joined, and I haven't looked back. I haven't always been consistent, but I've always gone to the same program, which I think is excellent. And even now that I'm running shorter distance after a bunch of injuries, it's part of my program, part of my routine in my life. So it's something that I do regularly, and I love.
Welcome back to Healing Yoga. In today's episode, we're using our practice to help runners. And I'm so delighted to be joined by a special instructor today, Christine Felstead. She's a very experienced runner and also a top yoga teacher. And she's put together a program, Christine Felstead Yoga for Runners. Christine, tell me about your program.
Well, many years ago, when I was into running in a big way, I started to do some yoga because I realized my posture was horrible. And over time, I realized that my body was actually very broken. As long as I was just running and using those muscles, I was fine. And then I realized, oh my God, this is going to be really ugly old age if I don't do something about it. So I fell in love with yoga to the point where I became an instructor and decided I think runners need my help. So about 15 years ago, I put together my first Yoga for Runners class, and it's been going since then. So what I focus on in my Yoga for Runners work is a lot of people think it's about flexibility, and absolutely, flexibility is important. So what I focus on is a balancing of the muscles, a balancing of the muscles between the upper body, lower body, balancing the muscles in the legs themselves, so that if you're participating in a sport like running, you're able to do so without too much weight bearing in your legs.
That is so fantastic and very inspiring. And I'm sure that a lot of people, especially as we age, we need that extra help. And running is such a wonderful sport. So I'm really excited to learn from you. What have you got for us in this segment?
Well, today we're going to put a little mini program together that basically is going to touch on all the hot spots for runners: hamstrings, hips, core strength. So let's start with preparing for some sun salutations. So come towards the front of your mat, bring your feet together. And this is a really popular yoga pose. It's called equal standing, in Sanskrit samastitihi. So the nice thing about this pose is it's balanced and symmetrical. Shoulders over your hips, hips over your knees, knees over your ankles. One thing I do want to point out, and this is really imperative for runners, is a strong core. For today, we want us to think about the core being everything from the pelvic floor right up to the shoulders. In particular, there's a muscle called Transversus Abdominis, and it wraps from the back of the body around the front of the body, and it is a natural girdle, and it's going to hold everything in. So you can imagine when you're running how important it is to keep this part of your body up. The more there is working up here, then the less is going to be pushing down into your legs. So let's start in this position, bringing your feet together. And then from here, we'll inhale, reach the arms to the ceiling, palms facing. Try to lengthen, keep the ribs in, belly in. And then as you exhale, fold. Try to keep your legs straight. If you need to bend them, that's fine. And just come into a deep forward fold and let your head drop. Just feeling your nice little hamstring stretch here. And then inhale, come up a little bit, look forward, send your breastbone forward. Then place the hands at the front of your mat and step your feet back into a pose called plank. Again, transverse abdominis. This is where we need that abdominal muscle to work. It's going to hold us in. A little bit more challenging than when we're standing now because we're resisting gravity. Coming back now to the upper body, the shoulders press back, working all of these muscles in the upper body. So again, coming from the pelvic floor right to the shoulders, everything here is working so hard. You can either hold plank, or if you're up for a further challenge, you can drop your knees to the ground. Keep those shoulders pressing away from the ears, and you're going to lower, without letting your belly sag, you're going to lower all the way to the floor. Beautiful. Hands by the lower ribs and lift only the chest. Just the chest lifts up to a pose called Cobra. Beautiful here to open up the upper back. Resist that rounding that we tend to do. And then lower your head to the floor. You're going to press into your knees. You're going to lift from your belly, lift up, and come back to downward facing dog. Downward dog, the one pose. I always say this is the desert island pose. If there's only one pose to do this pose. Wonderful to build some upper body strength. Wonderful to decompress and lengthen the spine. Wonderful pose to open up the back line of the legs, the hamstrings, the calves, the Achilles. So much goodness, especially for runners, especially for people that sit all day, helps to decompress the spine. So you can see here on Deborah how that back is just lengthening all of these muscles in the back. These muscles in the upper body working to support our upper body. From here, you're going to lift your belly. Step your feet forward, step one foot at a time. Take as many steps as you need to get your feet to your hands. And come back to that long spine, chest forward. Exhale, fold, let your head drop. And again, when you come up, lift from the belly. Come up and reach your arms up and over the head. And exhale, release your arms to your side. Beautiful. You start to feel a little bit of heat generating.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Inhale, extend the arms, look up. Belly in. Exhale, fold, and just let your head drop. Keep your legs strong. Inhale, chest forward, open up the chest, set your hands to the floor, step the feet back, strong belly. Again, either holding plank or lowering your knees, but keep everything working here as you take your weight forward and lower down. Beautiful. Inhale, lift the chest. Beautiful way to open up the chest, counteract the effect of rounding, and then lift it, lower your head, then lift to your knees, use your belly lift, and then back you go to downward facing dog. And downward dog is important to breathe. Really wonderful to decompress the spine. Imagine running all the impact on your spine, everything tightening up. Just opens everything up. From here, we're going to get into a little bit of lunge work. So lift your hips, step the right foot towards the right hand, and take as many steps forward as you need. Beautiful. From here, take your hands to the floor, just by the side of your foot. And I want the front leg here to be square. So that hip wants to stick out, pull it in. Using a muscle right in here, a stabilizer called glute medius. We want to hold the hip steady. Remember, this is part of our core. Front leg as parallel to the ground as you can make it. And then from here, Deborah's going to come onto her fingertips and send her chest forward. Again, take the rounding out of her upper back. Hold, elongate your spine. The back leg is straight, and Deborah may start to feel some stretch in the front left groin, getting into the hip flexors. Good. From here, she's going to place her hands on the floor, fingertips, and try to straighten the front leg. Straighten the front leg. That's it. Keep the toes on the ground. And then if straightening that front leg is a little bit challenging, it's always nice to use some props, get some help.
This is great.
So when straightening that front leg, if the leg doesn't straighten, that's fine, do the best you can. But I want Deborah to really concentrate on sending that hip back. So the movement is through the hip crease back. And then again, finding that beautiful length in the spine. And Deborah's, I'm sure, feeling something in the hamstrings.
Yeah, this is definitely, the body wants to pull this front hip forward.
Yes.
And so that cue and that adjustment was really effective. And my spine wants
Wonderful.
to be longer too. It's really fantastic.
Great. So now you're going to bend that front leg. You're going to use your belly and come upright. Take your hands to the front thigh. We're going to work into a standing lunge. As you press hands into the thigh, pull the belly in, drop the tailbone, pull the front ribs in, and your stability is going to come from that front foot, really pressing down from the belly, lifting up from the hips being square, and then inhale, reach your arms, beautiful straight arms. Use your arms to make lightness in your upper body, lift up. Beautiful. Straighten the back leg as much as you can, feeling a beautiful stretch to the front left groin, an area where we're perpetually tight from sitting and standing and walking and running. Hold, beautiful. And then from here, we'll take the hands to the floor and put your blocks aside, slide the front leg back. So an option here, you can stay in downward dog. If you feel like you need a little bit of rest, you can come to child's pose and take a few breaths in child's pose. Wonderful way, once again, just to release any tension in your back and in your shoulders. And then from here, we'll take the hands back to the front of the mat and prepare for the other side.
Please continue to enjoy these wonderful sun salutes. And when we come back, we'll have more healing yoga for runners.
Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems. For more yoga, go to visiontv.ca/healing-yoga. Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Johnson. I'm 58 years old. I'm an IT consultant. I've been running for over 30 years. I've run 14 marathons and countless half marathons. When I was training for my first marathon, I was realizing that my muscles were tightening and I needed something to loosen those muscles up, and I found a yoga for runners class, and I found that class really complemented the fact that I was tightening my muscles while I was running, and then I'd go to class and I'd be able to loosen them up. It just eases my muscles right up.
Welcome back to Healing Yoga. In today's episode, we're using our practice to help us with running. And I'm so happy to be joined by Christine Felstead and her two longtime students, Rhonda and Jackie. Christine put together a very important program, Yoga for Runners. Christine, how long does it take before runners will see improvements or results?
Great question. Runners tend to be a little bit type A, and they're looking for results right away, especially if they come to yoga with a particular injury. It's not a quick fix. What yoga is a longer-term commitment. You're going to feel great right from your very first class. You're going to feel energy, you're going to feel muscles you haven't felt before, you're going to feel this instant facility with your movement. But in terms of longer-term results, leave your metrics for the track. You're going to, you can't measure the results. You have to really go by how you feel.
I'm really enjoying all of the things I'm learning with you. What have you got for us next?
Great. So let's do some seated poses. So we're going to start in a pose called Dandasana staff pose. So just extend your legs. Legs are straight. You can sit on a bolster if it makes your hips feel better. You want to make sure that your hips are upright. You're not slouching back. This is where we want to maintain some strength in even something as simple as when we're seated. So we're going to take the right ankle across the left knee, flex the foot, and then just try to let that right thigh be heavy. Let it release to the floor. Either holding it here Or you're going to bring the left leg in, you bring the left ankle in under the right knee into a pose I call double pigeon. Some people call it fire log. Keep that ankle at the knee, keep that foot flexed. And then from here, you're just going to drop the thigh. If your knee is pointing up to the ceiling, I'm just going to suggest you wrap your arm around just to protect the knee. Otherwise, you're going to let that thigh drop. Beautiful. And then from here, if you want to make it even more challenging, just start to fold forward and you'll really feel some beautiful work in the hips. So hips is one area that runners experience a lot of tightness in. So I like to also point out that it's not just running. People sit. A lot of runners, corporate professionals, sitting for many hours of the day, hips get locked in one position. So it's not just the running that tightens the hips, but the running will exacerbate whatever you've been doing all day. So the hips are number one. And when people do some hip opening, their stride opens up. They feel more powerful. So from here, you're going to come back up and you're going to straighten your legs.
I can see how this stretch would be wonderful for everybody, in addition to runners. Yes.
Exactly. From here, we're going to come into a twist. You're going to continue with the right leg. Take the right foot across to the outer left knee and slide it up towards your hip as much as you can, but don't let the right hip come off the ground. You're going to elongate your spine and then twist to your right. Take the right hand around behind. You want to lengthen up through the base of your spine. So try not to lean back. Try to lift up. And along the side of the body, we also have a layer of abdominal muscles called obliques. These are just as important as the transverse. So these muscles are going to contract and stretch when you're coming through your twist. So now I want you to work with the breath. Inhale, lengthen your spine, create space through the spine, and then exhale, try to deepen the twist. But keep the hips level. Don't move the hips, don't move the sacrum. Again, inhale, lengthen your spine, create space. And exhale, deepen the twist. Good. And then come back to center and straighten your right leg and come back to our neutral position. After doing that, we feel imbalanced. We feel like, oh, something's off here. So we have to do the other side.
We want to encourage you to do the other side, but we're going to be moving into the next pose. Christine, which one is that?
Well, I've given this pose a name called the tummy tuck, and you'll see why in a moment. So come off your block or bolster, whatever you're sitting on, and you're going to start by just crossing your ankles and squeezing your thighs into your chest. And when you do that, really think about that natural girdle, pull it in. Squeeze your thighs into your chest, really squeeze in, but really feel the work is coming from that deep inner core. Squeeze in, flex your feet, and now reach your arms. So this pose is so important because it really comes back to the importance of a strong core for runners. I can't overemphasize how important it is to keep your upper body right from your pelvic floor up to the shoulders strong. All the poses we've done today touches on all of those muscles. So now, if we want to ramp this pose up and make it a little bit more challenging, you're going to keep that tuck and just straighten your right leg. Hold, 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 breathe. Of course, you have a beautiful smile that helps everything. Now cross the ankles, squeeze in again, squeeze, 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 and then release, other leg.
Please continue to enjoy this tummy tuck variation, and when we come back, we'll have more healing yoga for runners.
Healing yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems. For more yoga, go to visiontv.ca/healing-yoga. Healing yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems.
Incorporate yoga into your warm-up and your cool-down, not just to prevent injuries and improve your run times, but to also improve your breathing, mood, and mental function.
Welcome back to Healing Yoga. In today's episode, we've been using our practice to help with running. I'm so pleased to be joined by Christine Felstead of Christine Felstead Yoga for Runners. She is an esteemed teacher and has shared so many wonderful things with us. We started off with a very gentle warm-up, and then Christine led us through some modified sun salutations and some hip openers, helping us build strength, flexibility, and core awareness as well. And now we're in this Upavistha, this wide-legged seated pose. Christine, how does this help with running?
One area that runners are perpetually tight and weak in is the inner thighs, the adductors. So you can see here, just by sitting up, you can feel a stretch there. So it's important here to have your pelvis be upright. And then if you want to deepen that stretch, just start to come forward. But the forward action is just from the pelvis.
From the pelvis, down in the hip creases here?
Exactly. And just letting that pelvis come forward without rounding, not driving with your head, just moving the pelvis a little bit. And a small action for a lot of people starts to feel pretty intense. It would carry a lot of tension in those inner thighs, inner groins. So a wonderful way to release that tension.
That's wonderful. I'm really feeling this. Thank you so much much.
You're
Will
very
you let me
welcome.
put you into Shavasana now?
Yay, yes, absolutely.
So we're going to be coming into a Supta Baddha Konasana. And this is a reclining butterfly pose, a reclining goddess pose. We take a bolster under the knees. And then we have another bolster coming up to the low back, supporting the low back, and a blanket to support the head and the neck. We use our upper body strength to help us come down. And then we can just move the hips away from the bottom of the ribs to create a bit more space in the low back. And then with the legs, we take the soles of the feet together and we let the knees come apart and rest on this bolster supporting us. Make any adjustments that you need to in order to feel comfortable. We have Jackie with her feet on the ground. Now, Christine is much more open in her hips and she's got her feet on the bolster. So you can see that the rotation is much deeper. Then we have a rice bag and we're going to place it right around the bottom of the belly and the top of the legs. And this is a wonderful effect of grounding. We're grounding the pelvis and feeling ourselves get wider and flatter. Long, slow, smooth in-breath into the belly, into the heart, into the lungs. Long, slow, smooth in-breath into the face, into the eyes, into the brain. Breathing in light and spaciousness and exhaling the last remnants of tension and the last remnants of holding. Please continue to enjoy Shavasana for at least another 15 minutes, and we'll see you again next time on Healing Yoga. Namaste. Exercise equipment for Healing Yoga is provided by Healthy Life Cycle. For more information about their products, please go to healthylifecycle.ca.